From San Diego, California, this is a One Extraordinary Marriage show. Where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. I'm Tony DeLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call on the Hug hotline at 858-876-5663 or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's show, we discuss how what you don't know can sometimes be better than you ever imagined.
And there's an anonymous quote that says, "When I first met you, I honestly didn't know how important you were going to be to me."
I like that quote.
I like that quote too. And it totally sums up what we're going to be talking about today. But, you know, here at One Extraordinary Marriage, we start each and every One Extraordinary Marriage show with a hug. And this week's hug is sponsored by Organifi. And the Organifi products really help us to do what we do with both health and energy. And we're going to be sharing more about them later in the show. But for those of you that don't know what a hug is, a hug's an opportunity for you to hear from someone else in the one family, someone who's experienced transformation or is seeing hope and growth in their marriage. And this week's hug comes from a Facebook post that we just received that said, "We were honored to have the opportunity to participate in the One Conference. Tony and Elisa did a masterful job of sharing their message with their signature transparency and authenticity. Even though we've been familiar with their resources for many years, we came away from the conference with new ideas and understandings, a deeper connection, and a renewed desire to keep striving toward an extraordinary marriage. My wife and I have plenty of struggles, so we were hesitant at first to share our experience. If we all waited until we were perfect to share our insights with others, there would never be a conference to attend."
And for each and every one of you that did attend the inaugural One Conference, thank you, thank you, thank you. For those who've asked if we're going to do more, we are. Keep in touch. Stay tuned. We're going to let you know what's happening. We're already working towards it because it was an absolutely amazing time, and we were just truly honored and blessed by each and every one of you who did attend.
Now, as Tony said at the top of the show, we're talking about how what you don't know can sometimes be better than you ever imagined. And so often in coaching, I hear things like, "I didn't know it was like this." Right? I didn't know we were at this point. I didn't know that he or she felt this way. And so often those statements are made about the negative things, right? About what's going wrong in the relationship. And what happened this past weekend is that we realized that what you don't know, what we didn't know, can actually be a really positive thing. And it can be something good, not just for you as an individual, but also for you as a married couple.
Yeah.
And so what we want to share these insights, we want to do a recap to some extent of the inaugural One Conference, because we know a lot of you weren't able to make it due to commitments and travel and all of these types of things. So we want to give you a little taste of what happened this weekend, but we also want to tie it into what marriage is and tie it into what the big vision is of what we're doing here at One Extraordinary Marriage. So I just want to jump in.
Let's go.
The first thing that we didn't know is we actually didn't know if anyone was going to show up.
It's true.
And part of that is because the very first time that Tony and I tried to put on an event, we bought into the whole Field of Dreams thing, like if you build it, they will come. Well, if you build it, they will not come if they don't know about it.
And that is very true.
We had 2 couples 5 or 6 years ago when we put on our first event. And we still did it. But there was that little going into this weekend where we're like, oh, are people going to show up? And in fact, one of our couples, as they were sharing their testimony, actually were in a fight Thursday night before they were supposed to leave on Friday. And the wife said, "I'm not going." And she told us everybody that from the stage. And I was thinking, oh, geez, Louise, were you really not going to come? Right. But there was that, we didn't know. We didn't know if you guys were going to show up. We didn't know if all of the pieces that we'd been working on so much were actually going to fall into place the way they were supposed to. Right. And you guys have probably, if you've been listening to us for a little while, you know that Tony is the big visionary, right? Tony gets the big dreams and I'm the detail person. I mean, our poor team, their run sheet, which was just a list of everything that was going to happen in terms of how it was going to happen and whatnot, ended up being 6 or 7 pages.
For the entire day. Yeah.
Everything that was in my brain, I tried to get out for each and every one of you that attended.
I will have to say, though, even though I'm a visionary, I like the details as well. It's just a different type of detail that I see than what Elisa sees.
Okay, fair enough. And to that point, our team on Saturday that was there to just really be in the background, making sure that everything happened, was amazing. And I think that was one of those things that as we were going through the day made me realize how important it is in marriage that we have that strong support system.
That's right. I agree.
Because our team took care of things that I didn't even know were problems. And as we were talking to people throughout the day, they just said, well, yeah, I went up to Jessica and she said, I'm on it. I'll take care of it. Or Mitchell helped out, or Myra. And like, it just got taken care of. And that's what we need in marriage. We need to know that we've got that support system that says, hey, I got your back.
We're here for you.
We're here for you.
Yeah.
Now, when Tony opened the conference, for those of you that were there, you know that he opened with the signature. It's the way we open the show, right? Live.
Well, we did it a little differently. I did, instead of from San Diego, I just said live from San Diego. This is the one conference.
Yes.
Instead of this is the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. And it was at that moment that seeing each and every one of those faces and each one of your faces there, part of the one family, it struck me of, wow, how blessed and truly honored Elisa and I are to get behind these mics each and every week. But even more importantly, we got to see you face to face. And that, when I look at this show and I think about what we're talking about, what we didn't know were the faces that are attached to those emails that come in, that, we get responses from you on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, but seeing you there live and being able to talk to you and share with you, that to me was one of those aha moments of going, wow, the one family is real. It's bigger than anything I ever even imagined, and it's only growing.
And it's such an experience. Because so often, when Tony and I are behind these mics, we know we're talking to you.
Oh, totally.
Right? We know we're having this experience. And it's kind of like, but who's on the other side?
Well, here's the thing that we heard a lot throughout the day, which was really awesome from a number of you who did attend, and for those of you who didn't. But this was one of the questions we heard, or not questions, but sort of a concern, a comment was, wow, you're so real and honest behind your microphones. Are you going to be that way up on stage? And so many folks came up to us and said, you guys were exactly like you are behind the microphones. And this is truth. This is the honest truth. What you get behind these microphones is what you're going to get in life, from us anyways, because we've always said it's all about being open, honest, and transparent. It's not just about being behind the microphones and doing that, but in real life. Because when we were able to stand up there on stage, share those struggles, we had a little running joke through one of the sessions about touch me. And Elisa is not a huge kisser. So it was just sort of this little running joke throughout the conference. And then we ended up into the coffee break section. And I said, hey, I would love for you to kiss me. And it was just so amazing to hear those of you in the audience cheering Elisa on and me getting a kiss. But that's the truth.
Yeah. That's so funny because it felt like we were at a wedding when we were doing the coffee break, and Tony says that about the kiss, and everybody's like, kiss him, and I'm like waiting for the clinking of the glasses.
Yes.
Like they do at a wedding, and yes, if you haven't seen the picture I think it's up on Facebook.
I don't know if we have it on. We can put it like in an IG story or just up on an IG post, and we'll put it there.
We'll put the kiss. We have our own version of the kiss now.
Yes.
And just so everybody knows, that wasn't the only kiss that Tony got this past weekend. There's photographic evidence of another kiss, which we'll also, put those both together so that you guys can see that Tony does get kisses. He does. But truth be told, there was something absolutely magical when Tony and I got to the stage, because we'd come in from the back of the room, and to see a packed room with almost 50 couples who had made the decision to invest in their marriage for the day, right? What we know is that when you guys listen to the show, you've invested 30 minutes of your time, right? And maybe you're doing something else. You're driving to work, you're out, running on the treadmill, you're walking the kids, you're doing whatever, you're doing something, but you've given us 30 minutes of your time. And to see so many of you say, you know what, we're gonna do a full day with you guys. I mean, one couple I talked to, they had gone to work. Husband had to go to work at 4:30 the Friday before.
Okay.
Worked a full day. They live in Arizona. They drove that night, so Friday night into Saturday. They arrived in San Diego Saturday morning at like 4:30.
Wow.
And then they came to the conference and did the full day with us. And just that level of commitment, that level of intensity that you all have for your marriages, like I can't describe to you how much that means to us, because that's not something that we knew, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we think in 30-minute chunks, right? That's what the show typically is. And to see that level of commitment, to see couples who were, I can't tell you how many very pregnant wives that we had in the audience.
Yeah.
And some of them, like I'm looking at them going, no babies today. Like, baby, you need to give mom and dad today to invest in the marriage so that when you are born, and to see that so many couples pouring into their marriage late in pregnancy so that they could be not just better parents, but the example of husband and wife to their kids. You know, we didn't know how much transparency you all would bring to the day.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Not just us. That's the coolest thing I will have to say. This area of, let's be real, let's be truthful, let's be open about this, and the transparency that did come from those who spoke as well at the one conference, but also from those of you who attended.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had that time together where we were working on your action sheets.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who would pull Elisa or myself aside and share where you're at and what's really going on was truly just so eye-opening. And I was like, wow, you guys get it. Mm-hmm. You get it, because when we do this thing called marriage together and we do it with a level of transparency that just breaks down all our walls, the extraordinary happens.
It was mind-blowing. I mean, because we were so honored. We had actually asked 3 of Position of the Month Club members, three Summit partners, to share their stories throughout the day. And as they got up there, and each one of them, they're such special and unique couples, but what they shared and how that resonated with each one in the audience, and to see people, you know, pull them aside and ask them questions, and to realize that the one family, somebody summed it up so beautifully after and said, you know, what I really appreciated about the weekend was seeing so many real people mm-hmm. trying and doing what it's going to take to make their marriage extraordinary. And you know, behind these mics, you know, we pour into you guys every week, and we do it because first and foremost, the marriage that, you know, years ago we realized this, the marriage that we are first trying to save on a daily basis is our own. Mm-hmm. Because out of what we're able to do, then we're able to pour into you. But to see, like Tony said, that you guys get it, and you're willing to talk to other people. I mean, I heard from one wife who was talking to another wife, and you know, just had this word of knowledge for her, and spoke into her life. And the wife was just like, I can't believe that somebody that didn't know me would just share with me mm-hmm. and speak life into me. And it was such a beautiful thing. And it just kept happening time after time again. We'd see couples having conversations with each other and with other couples. And just, we didn't know how much fun this day was going to be. I mean, no joke. I looked at the clock at 4:30 and thought, are you kidding me? How can we possibly be done? Mm-hmm. How can we be done? Because this can't be ending. This is too much fun. And to see couples laughing, to see couples, you know, cuddling up next to each other. And yes, there were tears.
Oh yeah.
I would be lying to you if I said, you know, the day was all rainbows and unicorns. And it wasn't, because we did get into some really heavy topics. You know, I did a session on the power of forgiveness. And, you know, what I didn't know is that sometimes you can go off script or off schedule and have it be really impactful. Because like I said, and you guys know this, I'm the one that tends to, you know, color within the lines and, you know, follow very, what's a good way to put that? Very strictly whatever is on the schedule.
Yeah, you just want to adhere to what we have on the schedule, and it's the level of excellence you want to bring to the event, to the show, to whatever we're doing, so that others will be able to receive what's happening.
And so Saturday morning, I'm up like sometime between 4:30 and 5, just thinking through all the details, like how the day is going to go. And I'm just in my prayer time. And I just get the sense from God. He's like, you know what, you're going to need to pray over everybody today, because there's going to be somebody there that doesn't know me. And I start wrestling with God literally at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, God, you know what? I'm not a pastor. I'm not going to pray. Like, this is not going to happen. And God's like, yeah, it is. And in all honesty, these are the conversations I have with God. So if you hear God differently, that's you. This is me. And so I didn't tell Tony. And I didn't tell our stage director that this was going to happen. And so I'm in this session, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, so I'm going off script. I'm going a little rogue. And I went into this prayer time.
Yeah.
Just to say, you know what? I don't know what you all are dealing with. And I think sometimes in marriage, we have to remember that too, that sometimes, we think we're going down this path, and we think that we've got to adhere so strictly to this schedule, right? Or this structure that we've put into place. And sometimes you're getting that prompting from the Holy Spirit that says, no, I need you to do this right now, right? I need you to text your spouse that you love them. I need you to give that word of encouragement. I need you to do this.
And I will have to say, there's nothing better in those moments than to listen and do it. Mm-hmm. It really is. In those moments, man, when you get that nudge to pick up the phone and call your spouse, even though you're upset at them or frustrated with them, those are the moments when you do need to pick it up. And maybe they don't pick it up because they're going to be working and they have a tight schedule. Leave them a message. Mm-hmm. When they do pick it up, make it, it may be a quick one because you do know that they may just be picking it up in between something. Let them know you love them. But it is listening and responding in those moments are some of the best times that you can have in your marriage to just drop a little love into your spouse's life.
It is so incredible. And, we're still getting emails from people that are like, that prayer, it did something for me. It did something for my husband. It did something for my wife. And so, what I would say is, don't be afraid to follow those promptings. Mm-hmm. Because when you have them in marriage, it means that you've got this sense that something's going on with your spouse, and you definitely need to be that person for them, right? You need to be in that place. Another thing that we didn't know was that, because we are who we are, whether we're behind the mics or in front of you, how much so many of you would enjoy seeing a live coffee break, right? We'd put the coffee break on the schedule because we know a lot of you have picked it up over the years, and you've said, we've got the coffee break, and then questions and emails would come in. And so Tony and I start doing a coffee break live there on stage, and I start looking at all of the audience, and Tony's looking at me, and he's like, babe, look at me. And so we had this moment. It was actually about 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Where Tony and I did a live coffee break, a very vulnerable one, right? I mean, obviously it led to the kiss, which was awesome for Tony, and I enjoyed it as well. But there was a lot of other stuff that was going on and that came up, and to hear from so many of you that when we modeled these tools, when you see the tools in action, it gives you the opportunity to say, okay, now we can take this and put it in our life. Right. And so sometimes it's taking the action steps as we model them here on the show. And I'm going to encourage you, when you hear something on the show, don't just file it away. Maybe you have to listen to it over and over again, just like the audience did when they saw us do the coffee break, to say, how can we implement this in our lives? What is it? This is what Tony and Elisa are saying. This is what they're doing. How do we do this? Mm-hmm. Right. Because now there are 50 couples who are going to make the coffee break a priority because they saw it done.
Yeah.
And trust me, where we take the One Conference next, you will also see the coffee break. That will become a staple of the One Conference because it was so, so important.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, one of the things that we realize, the face-to-face interaction. And so I would say one of the things that I feel we're going to be moving in towards more, obviously our podcast is where we've always felt the most confident, I would say, is between Elisa and I. We feel the most confident behind our microphones. We've been doing it for 8.5 years. This is where we're at. And yet I think what we're going to move into more is some live videos, online workshops. So there is that interaction. You're still going to be able to see us, and we're going to be able to work through some of these things together. Some will be free resources, some will be paid, depending on what it is. But I think we're going to be moving towards that and setting up our studio, more of a video studio here, and allowing that to happen for you guys in the One family.
Another thing that we didn't know was that being with all of you was going to create an even bigger vision for what we're doing here at One. Doing a live event, it has all kinds of bells and whistles and moving parts and just all kinds of details wrapped up in it. But being with all of you,
it's so amazing.
And then we actually did a VIP dinner after for our summit partners from the Position of the Month Club, and just got to hear their feedback. And really, it turned into a mastermind. And we want to share some of the insights that they had, because it's going to impact each and every one of you. But before we do that, I mentioned at the top of the show that Organifi is this week's sponsor. And to be real honest, you don't get through a day where you're going to be going for about 15 or 16, maybe even 18 hours. I don't even know how long the day
I was up at 5:30 and went to bed at 11:30. So however many hours is that.
But you can't do a day like that without taking care of yourself.
That's right.
Right? You can't get through that without, having the right combination of nutrients and health and also be energized.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Days like that can be really hard. And that's why we love Organifi, especially their red juice. It's our afternoon pick-me-up. It's our, we know it's going to be a late night. We're going to be speaking for 8 to 10 hours. Right?
Right.
And it's that healthy nutrition that allowed us to get through the day. And, the thing is that you owe it to yourself to try and see what can happen when you put good, healthy nutrients in your body. And with their 60-day money-back guarantee, what have you got to lose?
Yeah, grab some.
Absolutely grab some. Go to OrganifiShop.com, and Organifi Shop is spelled ORGANIFISHOP, and enter promo code 1 at checkout. And you're going to get 20% off your entire order. That's OrganifiShop.com, promo code 1. It's an investment in your health that's good for you and for your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So, the thing is that we've got such a big vision now. And that vision is because you all gave us feedback. You gave us the opportunity to really understand what's going on in one. And the thing that happened at the end of that night was that we realized that there's something that we haven't been doing. And it's something that we actually tell you all to do in your marriage, right? We tell you that if you don't know what's going on with your spouse or what the next step is, we tell you to ask. And what we realized as we sat around with all those summit partners is that there is something that we haven't been doing to the one family. We haven't asked for your help.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't asked you to help us get into your local churches or get connected to your local pastors. Mm-hmm. We haven't asked you, how do we bring the one conference? How do we bring One Extraordinary Marriage into your community? And it was so clear as we were masterminding that people all of you are wanting to help. You're wanting to do something to take what you've received to more people. And so as we're behind the mics today, and it's hard even for me because Tony and I have kept One Extraordinary Marriage so close to our vest. We're like, we're just going to do it. We're going to do it ourselves. And, as we stood there all day on stage, and as we sat there with 20 of the summit members on Saturday night, what we realized is that we can't impact a world. We can't lower the divorce rate if we're trying to do it all by ourselves. No. And that's really the super big, ginormous, ridiculous vision that we have, that we want to actually impact the divorce rate in the world. We want to make sure that it's not just because people aren't getting married, but it's because they're getting married and they've learned how to do life and they've learned how to do marriage in a healthy way. But we can't do it by ourselves. Tony and I are just two people. We actually need the one family. And it was amazing how many people, whether in conversation or wherever they were, they would talk about, I'm so happy to be a part of the one family. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy that I get to do life and I get to build these friendships and I get to have these resources and I get to do all of this because it is a family.
Yeah, in a family, we take care of each other, right? In good times and in bad. And hopefully we're going to have more goods than bads, for sure. And yet, as a family, we're going to get together. And I think that's what really hit Elisa and I on Saturday, and then Saturday night hanging out with the summit partners, was this is our family. You guys truly are our family. We've said it for so long, and we know it. And yet, being there, hugging you guys, laughing with you guys, sharing stories with you guys, that became so apparent to us that I would not want anybody in my family, my immediate family, when I say that, like myself, Elisa, or my kids, my mom, my aunts and uncles, I wouldn't want them to be left out on a holiday. And I think about the one family, and I'm like, I don't want you guys to be left out on the next one conference. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to miss out on the next conference because that's where life is going to be changed and impacted. And so we want you there, and we want to make sure that we're going to come to your town or your city. And with that means we got to ask.
Mm-hmm. And that's a hard thing. right? Because we want to do it on ourselves. But, with that means that, we're going to say, we need your help. And we're going to ask, and we're going to say, who do you know? Who do you know that, maybe has a church, or, they're a pastor, or there's a combination of churches that tend to work together. I mean, we were talking with a couple from Montana, and she's like, there's one kind of bigger church in our area, but typically when things come to our area, 5 or 6 churches will get together to put on an event, right? Who are those marriage pastors that Who are those, marriage influencers that that we can partner with to bring the one conference to your area? We know that people, and people that we don't know. And the only way we're going to be able to get the one conference, the only way that we're going to be able to bring One Extraordinary Marriage closer to your friends so that you can literally pack the house. I mean, we had one gal on Saturday, and she's like, when are you doing the next one in San Diego? Because I'm bringing at least 10 couples. And I said, well, obviously we need to get that on the calendar, and we're going to need a bigger room, which we're so excited about, because there is a bigger room, literally 60 feet maybe from the room that we were in, that seats 800. And I can't wait to pack that room. We actually had 5 or 6 couples join us for church on Sunday morning, and I looked down the row at them, and I leaned forward and I said, this is what the one conference is going to become. It's going to become 800 people, 800 or 400 couples, I guess that would be, cheering, loving on each other, holding hands, taking action, doing all these things. And here's what's so special is that because Tony and I are saying we can't do this by ourselves, because Tony and I are saying, you know what, we want you guys to partner with us.
Just like we partner with you in your marriage each and every week. We come behind these microphones, and what do? We're partnering with you. You're allowing us to partner with you to make your marriage extraordinary, to go out and do things that you never thought were possible, to hear things that you never thought anybody would ever even talk about. And you're experiencing that.
Here's the thing, guys. I don't think before Saturday morning at 9:15 Pacific time that I had any real sense of just what it meant to have, hundreds of thousands of downloads every month, to get the emails, to know the impact that we've already had. And yes, we've been podcasting for 8.5 years, and people would be like, oh, you're so established. And the truth of the matter is,
we're just getting started.
And, we know that you only hear or see or experience a tiny percentage of what's going on at One. But I can tell you that there's momentum happening. It's like the snowball at the top of the mountain, right? I know you know what that image looks like, and it's kind of like just at that point at the very tip. And this weekend was that tipping point where it's going to start rolling downhill, and it's going to become this ginormous snowball, this avalanche of marriages, of couples that are saying, you know what, we want to be extraordinary. We want to be extraordinary, and we want to have this in our community, and we're willing to do what it takes to make that happen.
Yeah.
It's like the vision is so big, and the only way that big visions happen, and everybody that was there in attendance actually saw the one vision statement. It's probably been passed all over Instagram right now, but the only way that happens is when people get involved. And just like we ask you each and every week to get involved in your marriage, we actually are going to take that ask a little bit bigger and say, will you get involved with One Extraordinary Marriage? And will you be instrumental in helping us take this message, not just on Instagram, but off Instagram and into your communities, off Facebook and into your communities, off the podcast and into where you live and your workplace and your friends? Will you help us help those in your community?
Yeah. And here's a way to do it. If you have a pastor, a connection with the church, whatever in your community, whatever it may be, we want to hold the One Conference around this country. So you can email me, Tony at oneextraordinarymarriage.com. We'll get on it. We'll get our team on it. We'll connect with you, and then we'll connect with those folks so we can start setting the next one up and the next one up and the next one up. We're not going anywhere. This is the push. This is where we really got to go after it. We got to save marriages. We got to decrease that divorce rate, and we're going to do that with you guys, because you guys know more people than we know. And we love you guys for that. And we are so thankful and blessed and honored to do life with you guys. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who attended, for those of you who were praying for us who couldn't attend, for those of you who were lifting us up throughout the day and the weeks and the months prior to it. We thank you, and we can't tell you how honored and blessed we truly are to have you part of the One family. Love you guys. We can't wait to hear from you, and we'll catch you next week. Love you guys.